All right, here we go again. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, everybody, to the Second and Long Football Podcast. My name is Gabe, and of course, I'm joined by Joe. Joe, how are you doing today?
I am doing mighty fine. Mighty fine. We got so much to get into, and God, I'm just feeling good. There's not much more to be said than that.
Yeah, we just got NFL, the 53-man rosters just got trimmed down, so we got the rosters finalized, not quite finalized because we're still doing IR, teams doing IR stuff, like all the crazy stuff, but for the most part, a lot of players that are gone, and Joe, I know you are just itching to talk about this one player seeing a new team, a new quarterback. And of course, that is Jalen Reagor, former Philadelphia Eagle, traded to the Minnesota Vikings, going from Jalen Hurts to Kirk Cousins. And, everyone's talking about how he's now teammates with Justin Jefferson, who the Eagles passed up on to take Jalen Reagor. So, Joe, I'll just let you take it away and just let me know what are your thoughts on this new home for Jalen Reagor.
All right, let's get into this. So, for those of you who watched my Jalen Reagor film analysis, you will know exactly how high I am on this man. I'm going against the internet, which I know is not commonplace, but it is my belief that this is a very talented receiver that has been snuffed out by many various circumstances around him, and not all of which are within his control. So, let's talk about, first off, this new fit in Minnesota. So, I believe that he will be the wide receiver 3 once he is in there and once he's been worked into the system, which, that's actually another thing that kind of gets to me a little bit, Gabe, how late this trade was. How this trade happens right at the start of the season versus earlier when they were already in trade talks with him, giving him slim chance of looking at the playbook, which is something that's not often talked about when players are traded, but I feel like it's worth talking about when we're talking about Jalen Reagor, who's constantly thrown into bad to awful situations.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think the Eagles were just trying to get through camp and see, they want to give one last look at him, see maybe there's still something there, but clearly they just weren't liking what they saw. So, and yeah, you're right. They traded him right on cut day pretty much.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like if they didn't trade him, then he would have gotten cut. So, clearly the Vikings wanted him because, if they had, they probably assumed that he was going to get cut, and they wanted to make sure that they were the ones to be able to claim him. Gave up a 7th round pick, then also a conditional 5th/4th round pick.
It was a conditional 4th that could be downgraded to a 5th if he doesn't hit certain statistical marks. Which is interesting to me because usually with trades like these, like with the Carson Wentz trade, it becomes a draft pick that upgrades versus one that downgrades, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. Just that's really interesting. With that as a general baseline in the NFL nowadays. But another reason that I absolutely love this trade is he is now with Kirk Cousins, which, oh my God, yes. It's almost best case scenario is, I feel like Reagor will profit so much from now being with Kirk Cousins. He's a solid passer with, he has a long resume of being a very accurate thrower of the football, along with a little bit of alleviated pressure now that he has, on one side of him, he's got Adam Thielen, and on the other side, he's got his draft counterpart, Justin Jefferson, which, obviously, it's been all over the internet, that Jalen Reagor was picked right before Justin Jefferson. Now they're on the same team. Oh, my God. And I guess, in the sense of that draft pick being a bust. For the Eagles, sure. I can see how you could view using your 21st pick on a receiver that didn't get used right and didn't get used well. I can understand the viewpoint of the pick being a bust, but I don't think that the player is a bust, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, situationally it's a bust, but the player himself is, he's not bad by any means.
Yeah, I remember when Jalen Reagor first came out, there was a lot of criticism on him, but I do remember a lot of Eagles fans were trying to convince it, like, he hand-timed like a 40-yard dash for himself, and it was like he hand-timed like a 4.19 or something like that. And so when he did that, a lot of the Eagles fans are coming out saying, oh, he's going to be one of the fastest players in the league, and we just haven't really seen that. Like, he's got good speed, but we just haven't seen elite speed, like, which is what the Eagles tried to justify using that pick on him for, because he really was not a refined product coming out, but they were hoping they could kind of mold him because they thought he had that athletic upside. So maybe we do see that athletic upside here in Minnesota. I just looked up the depth chart, and it looks like so he's the wide receiver 4 right now is what it looks like. There's still KJ Osborne, who he'll be competing with. So
I think he takes that competition. I think he takes that.
Like, you can take it and win it? Like, they're going to bench
Yes.
KJ Osborne in favor? Okay.
Yes. I believe that Jalen Reagor has that in him. He can beat Osborne. Like, no doubt in my mind.
I mean, he does have, like, obviously the first-round pedigree does help out any player at all. Like, if you're a former first-round pick, that gives you some sort of advantage compared to any other player in the league. So,
well, yeah, you've seen Kevin Smith bouncing around for as long as he has. And that was a former first-round pick from the early 2010s that's still sort of feeding off that hype of when he was a first-round pick.
I mean, you see Laquan Treadwell, who's actually a first-round pick by the Vikings, who's done nothing, but he was a first-round draft pick, so he's gotten a lot of opportunities in Atlanta, in Jacksonville. And so, like I said, having that first-round pedigree does give you a lot of, a lot of leeway when it comes to making the roster and getting playing time, even though it might not be deserved. But you think that Jalen Reagor does, in fact, deserve ample playing time? It seems like he should.
In this case, I believe he does. I more than believe he does.
Because you watched the film on him, and
every single target of the 2021 season. Watched every single one.
So you're thinking it's Jalen Hurts' fault that he didn't succeed,
Bingo,
is it more of the play caller? Do you think
survey says ding 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 Jalen Hurts?
Jalen
Oh
Hurts.
my Lord, I do not like Jalen Hurts. He is inaccurate. He is a bad decision maker, and he just does not throw a football well. That's like I saw this ESPN list that came out, right? It was sort of it was a tier list of quarterbacks, and in tier 3. And this is right under, I believe, tier 1 was Josh Allen, tier 2 was Mahomes, Herbert, and I want to say one other person, I forget who. And tier 3 was Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts.
Serious? Wait, is this just like based on like talent or something? Like, or because to me, putting Josh Allen in a tier alone, like that would only make sense if you're only like talking about like physical capability,
Tom Brady and Russell Wilson were in tier 4.
Okay, so then to me that tier list sounds like it's just based off athleticism possibly and like just physical upside, but still, I mean, like how
dare you talk about Jalen Hurts in the same breath as a former MVP and the very talented Kyler Murray?
Former number 1 overall pick too, Kyler Murray.
Yeah. How dare you even compare those two? Even on, like, just talking about physical traits, I still don't even see that comparison. It just does not line up to me.
Yeah, because
I just don't like it.
Lamar and Kyler definitely have like much better arms. Like not even just accuracy wise, but also just like
far better. Throw
the ball further, like with more velocity on it too. Just like hitting those out routes. So
right, and Lamar throughout his career has been a lot better on decision making. He's been getting better year by year when it comes to his like choice of where he wants to put the football in each throw. Mm-hmm. And Kyler Murray's still lacking a little bit in that area, but he's certainly catching up. He's not he's still definitely progressing. Jalen Hurts looked the exact same throughout the entire year of me watching him. Watching him throw to Jalen Reagor in double coverage, or missing him by 15 yards, or just outright not seeing him happen multiple times.
Does Jalen Reagor have the ability to get open? Like, was he getting open a decent bit, and then Jalen Hurts just wasn't seeing him? He was taking off and running. Like, what's the analysis on just Jalen Reagor when he like lines up? He's able to get open. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I'm actually really happy you asked. That's a really good question. His release leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's not a terrible release. He can get off the line okay. He struggles on fades, especially when it comes to getting off the line and his ability to create separation far downfield in just a straight line 1v1, man defense. He does struggle in that area, and absolutely he is not great and during that. But when it comes to posts, corners, crossers, double routes, this guy's route running is it's intentional, and it's very well practiced. I actually really like his route running in the open field, and he does over and over get really good separation and is able to get open, which I think Kirk Cousins, it actually reminds me a little bit of Adam Thielen with his ability in shorter routes to create just enough separation for the quarterback to fit the ball in on zig routes, sort of whip routes where you cut inside and trying to sell your defender on a slant and then cutting back to the outside. Jalen Reagor eats on that route.
I kind of saying it might be like Hunter Renfrow type of routes you thinking, or
a little bit. Hunter Renfrow's obviously better. Yeah, I will admit to that. Sure. Obviously, Hunter Renfrow's a better overall route runner, but even when it comes
similar
to
style is what I'm saying. With that route tree. Obviously, Jalen Reagor can and should also run deep. I don't think. I feel like Hunter Renfrow doesn't run deep at all.
Yeah, and like I said, Jalen Reagor can run deep. It's just that he struggles on fades. It's the only route that I really see him get stood up, and that's a lot of where his lowlights come in, and where a lot of people started hating him is because he struggles a little bit in one-on-ones. And I want to throw this in: Jalen Hurts is not helping him at all. His ball placement on fades is disgusting. I would rather have Daniel Jones throwing to him deep. That's just honest. I would rather have Daniel Jones throwing deep balls to Jalen Reagor before I would put it in Jalen Hurts' hands.
Yeah, well, I was also gonna mention earlier too. I just actually looked it up. I was talking about how he timed himself and ran a 4.19. Right. At the combine, he ran a 4.47. Now, I think people were saying that he was a little bit injured, possibly, and so maybe that's why he ran not the fastest 40 times. So because I was thinking if he was so fast, even if he has a better release, he should get open on those fades. But if he runs a 4.47, it does, and has a bad release, it does make sense that he's not able to get open on those fades. But you like his technique, it seems like.
His technique is great. His technique is great. It's clearly disciplined. And I am so excited for him to be a Viking. I talked in the analysis about how I was begging the Eagles to trade him. And they finally let my man go, and I just couldn't be happier. And one more time, screw Jalen Hurts. I don't like him at all. There's nothing for me to like.
One thing I will say about the Vikings that I do find interesting is their new head coach, Kevin O'Connell, and how, just how successful he will be, coming from
for sure.
the Sean McVay tree. We've seen, Zach Taylor came from the Sean McVay tree, and he's just been kind of, fine. He went to the Super Bowl, obviously, but I think that was more Joe Burrow and kind of just getting some lucky breaks more than just Zach Taylor's pure coaching. So I'm curious to see how Kevin O'Connell, how much...
but I just wanted to add also Brandon Staley, another head coach from the McVay tree, and look at how well he's doing.
Yeah, but he's more defense, because I'm just curious about Kevin O'Connell, how much of an offensive influence he's going to have over there, and how much is he going to take from Sean McVay, because a lot of people are saying Justin Jefferson's going to be the Cooper Kupp role, which makes total sense in the offense. So I wonder how and I imagine who's going to fill in the OBJ role? Will it be Adam Thielen, or could it potentially be more of a Jalen Reagor that fills in that role? I think it's more likely to be Adam Thielen to do that, but I'm just curious to see how much he's going to replicate that offense over in Minnesota, and what piece he will put Jalen Reagor in.
You want to know what kind of role I think Jalen Reagor would fit in the Rams offense? I think he fits the Van Jefferson role of getting the offense out of tight spots by making a brilliant sideline catch. That's what I envision. And he's a guy that can absolutely score. Like I was saying in the analysis in that game against the Buccaneers, Jalen Reagor had 125 yards and 2 touchdowns wiped off the board due to defensive PI. If that PI hadn't happened, he would have had another 125 yards and 2 touchdowns early in the season, which I think would have impacted how the coaches and other players around him saw him. But instead, we get 2 PIs, and everyone's still thinking he's terrible.
Yeah, those are having one big game can really set you apart. 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's nothing to laugh at.
Especially with the fact that he only had 250 on the year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He hasn't really had that one breakout game where he showed what he can be. So it'll be interesting to watch him in Minnesota to see if he can finally reach his upside potentially. Being a former first round pick, he had to have had some upside. So it's just be interesting to see.
Which I think he will, and I'm gonna laugh at all of you.
And so because you blame Jalen Hurts, so I'm curious, where would you rank Jalen Hurts in the league? I feel a lot of people have him definitely a lot of people have him top 20. It seems maybe 20 to 25, but people.
I put him right on the outside. I put him right on the outside. I would say that quarterbacks I believe Trevor Lawrence is better than him. I believe that Justin Fields is better than him. And you know what? I think Gardner Minshew's better than him.
That's right. So you think...
you know where Minshew is?
Behind him.
He's behind him.
I would love to see Gardner Minshew out there and play. Because, they traded for him for a reason. It's not they got him before they got Jalen Hurts. They had Jalen Hurts on the roster and then decided to spend, what fifth, whatever round pick to get Gardner Minshew. So clearly they wanted some sort of insurance with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and now they're still starting Jalen Hurts, even though he does the Eagles no favors. And now that you have real wide receivers, I also believe you need a real quarterback in there. Now that you have AJ Brown, you have to do him a service by actually having a quarterback that can throw a football without, tossing it to a fan or, pegging a ref in the head because he doesn't know where he's throwing or how to throw it.
So would you take Tannehill over Hurts?
Yep. In a heartbeat. In fact, that's I would, yes.
So you'd be a little worried for AJ Brown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have some concerns around AJ Brown. I think obviously AJ Brown is still an amazing talent, and he'll probably do Jalen Hurts more favors by extending the area where he can go to get the ball. But it's not going to be doing AJ Brown any favors having Jalen Hurts throwing to him. I think he's going to have a much harder time in Philly. But I still think he'll be successful because he's just too good not to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it is AJ Brown. Like, he was the best. I think he was one of the best receivers coming out of that class. Like, I know Marquise Brown was taken above him, but it'll be interesting to see what he does in a new offense. I do like Nick Sirianni as a head coach. Like, I feel like people kind of laughed at that hire, but he's been like solid enough. So we'll see, and it'll just be interesting to see how the Eagles do this year with, like you said, AJ Brown and
no quarterback.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. So no quarterback.
But you're clearly low on Jalen Hurts, and I want to talk about a quarterback that I am lower on, and everyone seems to be hyping up, and like that to me is Trey Lance. I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about Trey Lance. Now, obviously I am a Seahawks fan, so that definitely plays a little factor in this. I really don't think he went from playing like South Dakota State, like whoever they were even playing, like
I'm pretty sure South Dakota State is Big Sky.
Are they Big Sky? Okay, so they're playing like what, Montana and Eastern? Like,
yep, Eastern Washington.
Like, and because I remember everyone coming out, he was like 27-0 for like his touchdown interception ratio, but
something like that.
But none of the DBs that he was throwing against like are like NFL caliber defensive players, like, and I think he definitely has a chance to succeed just because he's in the Shanahan offense, and like as everyone knows, Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller and he knows how to use his players, so he is in the best situation for any quarterback. But he's got Jimmy Garoppolo breathing down his neck, like and
they brought him back on, which I couldn't believe that. I was like, you guys folded. You couldn't find anyone to trade for him. You couldn't release him because that's way too much dead money. So you caved and you brought him back. And that's just... I think that's a bad like locker room move.
I mean, can you blame him though? Like, Jimmy Garoppolo took him to 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. And I know last year it was mostly like they had no business winning that game against the Packers. It was just their special teams.
None at all. None at all.
But still, like as a young quarterback, like, you know, he has 1 year sitting on the bench. I mean, you look at guys like Jordan Love who got drafted in the first round that haven't even like sniffed the field because of Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's a little different. That's
big difference. I get it.
It's a big difference trying to take over Jimmy Garoppolo than 2-time in a row MVP Aaron Rodgers.
But still, Jimmy Garoppolo just beat Aaron Rodgers in the divisional game. Like,
the special teams beat Aaron Rodgers in the divisional. Who said that? I get where you're coming from now.
Point being is Trey Lance has a lot of pressure, and I think a lot of people are kind of. Maybe not hype up the Niners so much, but there are a lot of expectations because they do have a good team. Like that, I
do like the offense around Trey Lance.
Yeah, they got Debo, who like is back in San Francisco. I wasn't really worried about him going anywhere. Like there were a lot of trade talks with them, but he's back.
Yeah, we were worried for a second, but we were also worried that no one was going to pay that, and then the 49ers paid that, even though they ran around for weeks saying they wouldn't pay that.
There was a lot of talk, but I had a feeling like, you know, like Debo, I just couldn't see anyone like making like the whatever asking price. Like first of all, you have to give up like a first round pick and then some, and then also pay him too. So, but the thing is, Debo, I feel like it's been very clear that he wants to be primarily the wide receiver. Like he played a lot of like running back and like did a lot of sweeps, and he's still going to do some sweeps, but I think he wants to be like maybe take a little bit less contact this year, you know, preserve his body a little bit. So that's honestly going to hurt Trey Lance a little bit because before, like, you know, they used Debo all the time and just like little pop passes and like jet sweeps and even line him up in the backfield. So not having that as much anymore is going to be a little bit more difficult for Trey Lance because he's going to be asked to like push the ball down the field some more. And I could be way off and Trey Lance could be this amazing prospect. But the thing is, I think all these NFL GMs and coaches and even like, you know, fans, like I think everyone's just trying to find the next Patrick Mahomes, you know, and so I think you look at
Trey
Lance,
that's an impossible mold to fit.
It is, but that's the thing. Like, everyone wants a scrambling quarterback that has a huge arm that can make any play. Because, like, you see some of the stuff that Patrick Mahomes does, like, out of structure. Now he's got a great play caller in Andy Reid, but even if he didn't have a great play caller, he's able to just do so much physically that you're so, like, there's no limits to what he can do. And so I think that might be why Trey Lance was taken number 3 overall, is because, he does, like, have some good speed and a solid arm strength, but you also look at a lot of these other players in the league that have come in with a lot of this upside that just don't work out. And I think Shanahan is going to make it as easy as possible for Trey Lance, but I don't know. It's just tough, like, to expect Trey Lance to take them to the Super Bowl or even, like, have, like, success in the playoffs. Like, it's just a tall order to ask, like, of your young quarterback who just hasn't played in a while besides, like, the preseason. He played and, like, he looked good in the preseason, but, like, against, like, what defensive players? Like, Drew Lock looked good in the preseason too. So, like, it's always hard.
And it's the preseason, it's really hard to get a gauge on how good your players are. And, I don't know, that is a part of the point of the preseason, but it's sort of a hard point to stick when there aren't, I don't know, it doesn't seem like there are a lot of roster risks, obviously because of injury, but, like, testing players out against other fifth stringers, it's, how much can you really tell about them? Where I feel like it'd be, a better idea in, like, the second week of preseason to mix in some of those players with your starters to see, okay, how well do these guys mesh together? And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a lot of teams do that, but especially in Trey Lance's case, he needs, as much film as he can get to improve himself.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, you're talking a lot about Jalen Hurts, and I feel like a lot of people, because of the offense around Jalen Hurts, have high expectations for Jalen Hurts, and so I just kind of wanted to
I can't wait for him to not meet those.
Yeah, and for me,
I'm so excited.
Like, I'm just, I don't know. I'm just lower on Trey Lance. Like, everyone is expecting a clean transition from, Jimmy Garoppolo took them to the NFC Championship last year. Trey Lance can do that again this year. And I just don't know if it'll be as clean of a transition as people might expect it to be.
You know what I think might actually happen? I think this will sort of be, like, I don't know, almost like a training year for Trey Lance. Like, all right, go out, get you some snaps, get you some games. We'll give you a year to just, I don't know, test out the arm, see some real, NFL competition over the whole season. And he might follow a similar path to maybe, I don't know, it's a long shot, but maybe like a Josh Allen path where he starts out, he's really rough and really raw, and there's like, there's not too many bright showings, but there's, some glimpses of elite talent, but maybe he'll just take like 2 or 3 years to actually, hit his stride and actually gain momentum as a player. I don't see that happening with Jalen Hurts. I want to also just cover all my bases. That's not going to happen to him. He's going to fizzle out of the league, or he's going to start taking handoffs. Jalen, pick which one you're going to do and just run with it. Literally, like, run up the A-gap and get blasted by linebackers. Do it. But, also, you were speaking on Deebo Samuel earlier about, him taking sweeps and being in the backfield. You know who else did that a little bit?
No, who?
Jalen Reagor.
Who?
Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor did that as well. And I also want to just sprinkle on, because you reminded me, another reason I'm excited for Jalen Reagor in Minnesota is the blocking. The Eagles can't block for anything. They just can't. Their blocking is garbage.
You think the Eagles' offensive line is bad?
Yep.
Really? Like, that's a pretty hot take. A lot of people have the Eagles as like a top 3 offensive line.
Nope. I say no. I say no to them. To whoever that they is. No. You're wrong. And this is not subjective. This is objective. I am right. You're not. And I don't believe in the Eagles' offensive line either. I saw them peter out against average defensive lines, blocking both for Jalen Hurts and Jalen Reagor on sweeps. Most sweeps given to Jalen Reagor ended behind the line of scrimmage because either a defensive end got free or a linebacker had a free run because no one even considered him a threat. So I think in terms of especially his running ability, because the handful of times that the Eagles did block well was it was very good for Jalen Reagor. He would get like 10 to 15 yards at a time. And especially I'm excited for him to play alongside Adam Thielen due to the fact that Jalen Reagor would run his most common play that he would run with the Eagles was jailbreak screens, which I take it you know what those are. Mm-hmm. And that was his most common play. And Devontae Smith and Arcega-Whiteside, and even Kez Watkins, also are completely inept blockers.
Devontae Smith is like 180 pounds, and so is Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins is also really small too, because he's a gadget speedster.
Yeah, they're $180 blocking weak side linebackers, and they would just get bench pressed into the turf, and then Jalen Reagor would lose 2 yards. Where now he has a player like Adam Thielen, who's a damn fine blocker, and I'm excited to see if they're gonna run some of those plays again with Reagor to get him comfortable in the offense, and I think he'll do much better running behind Adam Thielen than Kez Watkins. I can say that for a fact.
Yeah, well, I would like to see him on those jailbreak screens like you're saying, because I know the Vikings offensive line, they are a really athletic group, so I think they are able to get out and get downfield in a hurry. So I think it would be interesting to see those types of screens with Jalen Reagor.
God, we're an NFL podcast that can't stop talking about Jalen Reagor.
That's what the show is all about. But
yeah, exactly. It's about Jalen Reagor.
Let's talk about another quarterback real quick.
News
came out today. Russell Wilson signed a 5-year, $245 million contract. So basically about $50 million a year.
Second highest paid quarterback in the league.
Before he even takes a snap for the Broncos too.
Right. Which, all right. I want to hear your thoughts first, because I've been rambling about a 4-string wide receiver for half an hour. So, where are yours? Where are your thoughts when it comes to Russell Wilson and this fat stack of money that he's now going to be getting?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Maybe not on the podcast, but I think just paying. I don't know. I feel like Russell Wilson does have this obsession with being the highest paid player, because if you're highest paid, that means you're the best. But I mean, he just recently came out and said how he is excited to be on the Broncos because he doesn't have to carry the team on his back. But the reason why he had to carry the team on his back in Seattle was because he was making $45 million, and so we didn't have any money to pay any help around him. And so as of right now,
it was Dwayne Brown fighting for his life on the left side of the offensive line. And I'm still concerned about Seattle's offensive line. Obviously Charles Cross is going to do great, but I can't even recognize anyone on the right side of the line.
Charles Cross and Abe Lucas are going to be great. I think I'm going to do a Seahawks episode here soon. I'll dive into the offensive line, but I am optimistic. I mean, obviously not for this year. I think it's in a developmental stage, but I digress.
Yeah.
But as I was saying about the Broncos, they have talent now, but when they have to pay people, they're not going to have any money. How are they going to pay Jerry Jeudy and Javonte Williams and Patrick Surtain when Russell Wilson is making $50 million a year? I just don't understand why Russ doesn't take a pay cut. Clearly he wants to win, and I think that was a reason why he wanted to get out of Seattle is because he wanted to go to a good football team to win. But I mean, it's not sustainable paying your quarterback this amount of money and winning. We just haven't seen it in the past. In the Super Bowl, we just saw Joe Burrow versus Matt Stafford. Joe Burrow, who's on a rookie contract, And Matt Stafford, who is like being paid a decent amount of money, but he's not a top like 5 contract. So,
right.
I don't know. It's hard paying your quarterback that much money and having a sustainable team around them. And I just think Russell Wilson is also set to regress. Like, he's getting up there in age. He's 33 years old, I think, at this point. Like, so he's getting older. And the thing is, too, he relied so much on his athleticism. And at some point, like, we're going to see a dip in his athleticism. I think that's going to hurt him a lot. Him not being able to make these crazy plays where he's able to spin around and run away from these defensive linemen. Because I think...
Yeah, he can't do that forever.
He's just going to slow down. And then these defensive linemen who are... like, just getting more athletic as the years come in are just going to be able to catch up to him. And so I don't think his style of play is sustainable. And so it'll be interesting to see if he can switch up his play style to be more of a pocket passer. But also the Broncos, like, they have a decent offensive line, but it's nothing superb.
I don't even know
they have
about
Garrett
that.
Bowles. Huh?
And they have Garrett Bowles, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their offensive line right now, and I don't recognize 3 out of the 5 names.
Who even is their right tackle? Like they paid Juwan James a couple years ago, but
Billy Turner.
It's Billy Turner, who's like this is like his 5th, 6th team now at this point, like
something like that. And then let's see, right guard, which also for the right guard, there's no backup. It's Quinn. Let me see if I can get this last name. Quinn Mirnez. That's not even close, but it looks like the word Mariners, but it's like Miners? Might be Quinn Miners.
Oh, Quinn Miners. I think that does sound
that's it?
familiar. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I wasn't even close.
It sounds, but
Miners.
Like he's definitely not like, a top guard in the league. Like, he's not definitely not a recognizable name. Like,
okay. And I don't know who this center is, but I do have to say I love his name. Lloyd Cushenberry III.
I think Lloyd Cushenberry is solid. Like, I don't think he's anything fantastic, but he came into the league, like, I want to say he was a 2nd-round pick. Like, struggled a little bit, but I think he's gotten better as the years have gone on. But still, he's, like, a fine center. Like, I feel like Russ,
right.
Everyone dogged on the Seahawks offensive line, but like the Broncos offensive line is not superb. Like it's not like he's going
similar, honestly.
It's not like he's going to like the Colts offensive line or the Buccaneers offensive line. Like
or
it's
the Chargers offensive line.
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
Just brush over that comment.
I had to.
But it really is
division.
just not like honestly. I don't know. Like I just don't think it's anything that superb. So I think Russell Wilson might be, and like honestly, like the receivers too. Like I don't know. Like he had good receivers in Seattle. Like
yeah, how much better did it get in comparison to what he had?
Like is Colin Sutton and Jerry Jeudy really a better duo than DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? Like I don't think so.
No. And even go to third string, you're talking about, at that point, you're either Dwayne Eskridge in comparison to KJ Hamler, and I don't think that deficit is all that big either. I still think KJ Hamler is better than Dwayne Eskridge, but I don't think it's a giant leap from one to the other.
I'm pretty up on the Dwayne Eskridge train.
True.
So that might be, but regardless, and they also thing is too in the Russell Wilson trade, they had to get rid of their stud tight end, so now they're rocking with Alberto, who could
which I did want to break
out,
but Wilson needs a tight end to be very successful. You remember that in Seattle, his tight end was his bailout.
Yeah, he loved
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy
Garoppolo. No. We're not going to skip over like you didn't just make that mistake. Yeah.
It's another
Wilson
Jimmy G.
Yeah. I'd love to see that.
They're both washed. It's fine.
Garoppolo running up the sideline, getting clocked by Jamal Adams. Please let that happen.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not high on Russ. Like, I think he'll be a top 12 quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback.
I think he'll comfortably be top 10. I think at least that much, but I don't know because, like, obviously Russell Wilson's still great, but he's not the top 5 guy from, 2015 anymore. He's just not that. He makes mistakes. He's not an ironclad thrower like Rodgers. He doesn't have the escapability of this new wave of younger quarterbacks, and he's not the messiah that he believes he is on Twitter.
And also, the thing is, too, I know he rushed back from his finger injury last year, but when he came back, he did not look that good. Like,
he looked bad. Let's not sugarcoat it here. He looked bad. Like,
Geno Smith, could have outplayed Russell Wilson in a couple of those games. Like,
he was damn near competing for a spot.
So honestly, I was kind of glad that the Seahawks traded him when he did, because and it's very possible Russell Wilson could go back to his old self, but like I said, just with the age, and the thing is, Russell Wilson has never gotten injured before at all, so now, obviously I don't think this finger injury will be that crazy, but it is something to keep in mind.
It's like the Iron Man is cracking a little bit.
And so, I don't know, Broncos fans, I'm happy that you got a decent... Oh, God. I'm
sorry.
You finally got something at quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be a top 3 quarterback like his contract suggests.
Broncos country.
I'm not going to finish it for you.
No, it's okay. I finished it anyway. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. I hate that.
That was so terrible. What made him think that was a good idea?
I know, everyone's copying it now, too, so now it's, funny, but I'm like, oh, God, can it just die, please?
Just what? Why does it still exist?
Because Russ is now Russ is still saying it now, because he's thinks it's this funny joke, oh yeah, let's ride, that's so great. So he's saying it now.
Let's ride right now, a 5-12 record.
But oh my God.
Poor guys, poor Broncos.
But, yeah, I don't think they'll probably make the playoffs. I can't see them getting past the divisional round if they're lucky to get out of the wild card round. I think the AFC is just such a gauntlet, and
especially that division. They have to first get a wild card spot, which is probably what they're going to have to end up scraping for. Is they're going to be clawing for a wild card, because I think I can pretty comfortably say that the Chiefs and Chargers are going to be running that division for the most part.
Yeah, and it'll be between the Broncos and the Raiders to see who gets the 3rd spot in that division.
And the Raiders aren't a laughingstock. They're pretty close, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, they still got, they traded for Devontae because they figured, if they use that first-round draft pick, it'd probably be someone who's not in the team in a year, so you might as well...
It'd probably be someone in jail, so why not?
But also, you gotta remember, it's not, that division and stuff, but the rest of the AFC is also incredibly difficult too. Almost every team that was good last year in the AFC got even better. And one team that I do want to talk about, if you're okay, do you have anything left to say about Russell Wilson before we move on?
I've said my piece. Let's ride into the next topic.
So speaking of the AFC conference, another team, everyone's, talking about, the whole AFC West, and also people hyping up the Dolphins with, Tyreek Hill, all this, talk, and, the Bills are, the number one, favorite to go and win the Super Bowl. But a team that I do want to talk about as we wrap up this episode, get into a sleeper team, in my opinion. Honestly, I don't even think they should be a sleeper team, but I really want to emphasize my belief in the Indianapolis Colts, now with Matty Ice.
Okay.
Because you just look at that team top down. They got a great offensive line. They got Matt Ryan, who can protect the ball, because they should have made the playoffs. And if Carson Wentz has an okay game, they make the playoffs. But the thing is, Carson Wentz had a terrible game, and so they didn't make the playoffs.
Awful, despicable game. Yes,
and I
remember watching that.
You're not going to see those types of games from Matt Ryan. So I think going out and get it. And also, he's 37 now, but in his whole career, he's been he had a good arm. He's been a pocket passer his whole career. And so he'll be fine.
His style is designed around longevity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you see Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady getting up there in age and they're still playing at elite level. And I think Matt Ryan can still play at a top, 15 quarterback type level. Like, he was still, didn't have much around him in Atlanta. He still, was, fine enough. Like, I think it was a great trade for both parties, for the Falcons and the Colts. Like, I think both parties benefited from that trade.
Right. And speaking on Aaron Rodgers, he's doing, he's getting MVPs at his pretty old age, at least as far as NFL quarterback standards go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, mushrooms and Percocet apparently are very nice for career extension.
So maybe Matt Ryan can get on those.
Yeah. But, I think all Matt Ryan needs for another MVP season is just a couple tabs of acid. That'll put him over the top. That's all it takes.
But you also got, so they got that offensive line, but also I know they're losing their defensive coordinator, but I think the talent on their defense just can't be ignored. You got Shaquille Leonard now, not Darius Leonard. Shaquille Leonard, one of
really?
Changed his name. I don't so Shaquille Leonard now. I don't know why. I don't know the backstory behind it, but that's his name now. You got, also you got DeForest Buckner, and they traded for Yannick Ngakoue, who I've mentioned before. I actually do think will do well. When they first made that trade, I wasn't so sure about it, but
I've always been high on DeForest Buckner as well. That guy's just an enforcer.
Like, I think DeForest Buckner is pretty underrated at this point. I feel like not many people talk about him, but he's their game breaker, and I think Yannick Ngakoue working next to DeForest Buckner will allow Yannick Ngakoue to also have a massive productive season. You got Kwity Paye, who had a solid rookie season last year. And, I mean, you also can't forget Stephon Gilmore. Like, people are, forgetting about, the elite level of play that Stephon Gilmore, I still think can play at a high level. I still think he can finish as,
He is a top corner, absolutely.
And people, he was injured and, he was in Carolina and, they had this weird, corner rotation. But whenever he was out there, he was still looking good.
He's been to multiple Super Bowls already. He knows what it takes to get there. And that's still a big deal with players.
And so I think that was, an underrated signing that people, kind of forgot about. And it will help. And, they still have Kenny Moore, who's one of the best slot corners in the league as well. So they could have,
absolutely,
their number one corner and slot corner is probably the best duo in the league because they're both top 3 players at those positions. And so I think this pass rush is going to be nice. And I also think this secondary is going to be good as well.
Rush. So, sorry, I'm just teasing you with the pass rush.
Oh, well, I'm just, getting a little, getting passionate over here about the Colts.
Passionate.
And I just, and also, I don't even know if I mentioned Jonathan Taylor at this point. One of the best.
Well, yeah, I mean, what more can you say about him?
Yeah, just so much athleticism. I remember him coming out, he was clearly, I thought he was the best back in that class. I'm pretty sure DeAndre Swift went above him, and I was just shocked when he fell into the second round, and I just knew, the Seahawks, they even had Rashad Penny and Chris Carson, and I still wanted them to take Jonathan Taylor just because I knew he would be, this much of an impact as he has been for the Colts. If there were ever to be a running back to win MVP, I don't think that'll ever happen because it's just a quarterback's award at this point.
Well, not anymore. I mean, it's happened half a dozen times, in the early 2000s, but
with the way the league is now
nowadays, nowadays it's a lot more rare.
I think it's more likely that a receiver wins MVP than a running back, just because also receivers are now a lot more glorified and just being just the way the offenses are, used a lot more, more impactful in the game.
Right.
But still, Jonathan Taylor, and also, they got Alex Pierce, who could be a solid, move the sticks type of receiver, had a really good season for Cincinnati, so that was their first pick, and I thought that was a good pick to get. And also, you can't forget, Paris Campbell is finally coming back. He was a second-round pick, I think in that same draft class with Debo and DK. I think he actually might have been picked before DK. If not before DK, around
I think he was picked before DK.
Yeah,
because DK was the last pick of the second round, and Paris Campbell was still a second rounder.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Paris Campbell was a second rounder. I'm pretty sure he could. Yeah, I think he was because part of my brain is telling me that he might have also been early third. But I'm pretty sure his early second round
is just rough accuracy.
Just hasn't been able to get on the field because he's been so injured. But I think now, I think this is his year, and obviously, Michael Pittman has gotten better every year since he's been in the league, and I think he's got the physical capability to be this team's true number one receiver.
All right.
And I think Matt, and the thing was with Paris Campbell, I feel like we've seen Matt Ryan has taken these more gadgety, deep threat receivers, and he's done really well with them. We saw Taylor Gabriel back when they went into the Super Bowl, who was just a speedster and had a really productive year with Matt Ryan. So I think Matt Ryan, Russell Gage, exactly, deep threat too. And so I think Matt Ryan is capable of using these just deep threats and just using them to their fullest ability. So I think Paris Campbell will finally have kind of a little mini breakout year. I don't think he's going to be obviously Michael Pittman is still the best receiver on that team, but I do think Paris Campbell is set to kind of come out of his shell a little bit and hopefully produce for the Colts.
Okay, I hope so too. I was always pulling for that man.
But I don't know. And then, of course, lastly, I just want to talk about last weapon, Mo Alley-Cox. I love Mo Alley-Cox. He's from D2, D3 school, randomly,
something like that, yeah.
Went from basketball to football, and he's I don't know, he's just such a fun player, but also he is really talented in his own right, a great blocker and receiver at the tight end position, has that basketball background, so he knows how to high point the football and just go up and get it. So I think that's also a real weapon for this Colts offense is Mo Alley-Cox.
Okay. I like the way that sounds.
But that's what all I have to say about the Colts. I think they are a dark horse Super Bowl contender. It will be tough getting out of that AFC conference, but I really do think that people should be talking about the Colts more than they are.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. The Colts really never get a bunch of attention, but maybe this is their year.
Also, they are in the easiest, one of the easiest divisions in all of football, and probably the easiest one in the AFC for sure. But,
right now, totally.
The Titans we'll see what they do without A.J. Brown now anymore, and
they do have Treylon Burks. Maybe he has a breakout year, but certainly won't exactly fill the shoes of A.J. Brown.
Yeah, and we've seen Tannehill start to struggle a little bit more, and of course the Jags and Texans, they still are rebuilding, so we'll see what they become. But I mean, you get those teams, 6 times in your schedule. You could easily win 4 or 5 out of those games, just right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, that's my sleeper team. So Joe,
guess what?
I want to hear your team. You've been keeping me on my toes. You wouldn't tell me what
I have kept this from you. But
so I am excited to hear.
I think you'll be pretty excited about one. So I'm pretty high on 3 out of 4 teams in this division, just as it is. But this one, I thought about it a little bit before the podcast started, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I mean, it's a long shot, but not exactly impossible. My sleeper team, drum roll.
Wait, I don't want to tap on my. I was about to tap on my mic to make the drum roll, but I think that might be too much. But
just drum roll. The Vikings.
The Vikings. Okay.
Yep, the Vikings are my sleeper Super Bowl team. And I mean deep sleep, REM sleep Super Bowl team. It's a very far shot, but if they're gonna do it, this is not a bad year to make a run for it. So let's break it down. Piece by piece.
Yeah,
so
let's hear it.
First off, Kirk Cousins, he really speaks for himself. That guy, in terms of underrated quarterbacks, people are now starting to see just how talented Kirk Cousins has been, how safe with the ball he is. So, check mark on the quarterback. Running back, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, obviously, check. Both of them are super talented. And even if Dalvin Cook's not on the field, Mattson fills his shoes just fine for, 2 or 3 games at a time. Wide receiver core, obviously stacked. We got our guys. We got Justin Jefferson speaks for himself. Adam Thielen speaks for himself. Jalen Reagor, I speak for him a lot. I do everything in my power to speak for him. And then something I'm really excited about, tight end Irv Smith Jr. in, I believe, his second year.
I think this might be his third year. I think he's been in the league for a little bit now. Or I could be...
I think either second year or third year, one of the two, but
he's going into his third year, yeah.
Yes, okay. So far in his career though, he has been playing behind Kyle Rudolph, so I'm pretty sure this is his first year where he gets to take the helm and he gets to be the starter.
Okay, I just looked up. He was drafted in 2019, but this is his fourth year, but he was injured all of last year. So this is his fourth year in the league, third year actually being active on the field.
Okay. So there is a lot to be excited with about Irv Smith Jr. He's just another really athletic tight end that, Kirk Cousins can absolutely take advantage of. And the offensive line looks great too. Christian Darsaw as the left tackle, Ezra Cleveland, who I'm pretty sure I've heard some good things about Ezra Cleveland from.
He's solid.
Yeah. Center, Garrett Bradbury. Not a lot to talk about there. He's fantastic. I don't know who the right guard is, but Brian O'Neill at right tackle. He is a super solid right tackle. So the offensive line looks really good. Really good this year.
Yeah,
There's
I think the offensive line is
about.
I think it's really underrated for the Vikings.
It is. And the defense gets me excited. Daniel Hunter, Dalvin Tomlinson.
It's Daniil Hunter.
Daniil Hunter. Sorry, Daniil. Zadarius Smith, Jordan Hicks, the veteran linebacker who is amazing in pass coverage. Eric Kendricks, the big man up the middle. Patrick Peterson at DB, along with Cameron Dantzler and I believe rookie Andrew Booth Jr.
That's right.
That's huge that they got him. And him playing behind Patrick Peterson, that's going to be huge as well. Being able to sort of key in on him and take some things from him, along with, obviously, the veteran Harrison Smith, who has been the lone white DB in the league for years. Along with, they do have, currently he's a second stringer, but this year they did pick up another safety named Lewis Sine, who I believe was he also Clemson?
I can't remember where he's from. I know he was a first round pick.
Yeah, I'm not 100%, but yeah, I know there's a lot of good stuff going on with him too.
He is Georgia. He played for that Georgia. That's right, that Georgia defense. That was insane. That makes sense.
So now they have a piece of that, along with obviously their kicker is amazing, Greg Joseph. And you were talking earlier about Kevin O'Connell, which, a new head coach does wonders for teams nowadays. So if the Vikings are going to make a run at the Super Bowl, I think this year is a great year to do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I also just want to throw in there, their right guard is Ed Ingram, who is actually a rookie that they took in the second round. And also, right. Did you, I might have been looking stuff up. Did you mention Zadarius Smith too?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
Which is a huge... Yeah. Him and Daniil they'll be an awesome pass rush duo. I'm excited for that. So that would be my sleeper team. I got the Vikings.
And they are in the weaker conference in the NFC, so they do have a chance they have a much better chance making the wild card spot than a team in the AFC would. So
right. And I do think they'll be battling the Lions a little bit if they're in contention for that spot, but I think there's a solid chance that they can overtake the Lions. As much as I like the Lions, and as much as I am rooting for them too, I think that the Vikings have a really solid shot.
Yeah, I would say the Vikings definitely have a better shot at the Super Bowl than the Lions, but the Lions still, I think the Lions will be a solid team, and I think like they have one more year, and then I think they'll have this next upcoming draft, and I think next year the Lions are gonna finally take over because I still think the Lions have 2 first-round draft picks this upcoming year as well, thanks to the Stafford trade, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
I think the Lions they're going to show a lot of potential this year, and then next year they're going to completely reach that potential, and then they could be
future's bright.
A playoff team. So,
which is something to say about the Lions.
It's finally. I mean, the future is bright thanks to Dan Campbell, but
right, exactly.
But yeah, no, I do think the Vikings are a very interesting team to keep your eye on because they've been mediocre for the past few years, but I think if they were to succeed, this would be their year. Yeah. I'm talking about under the Kirk Cousins regime, they've been fine. Kirk Cousins, Teddy Bridgewater, they've had kind of these middle of the road quarterbacks for the past few years. But if there was a time to succeed, I think this would be the year. So I'm with you with the Vikings. It does make a lot of sense for them to at least make the playoffs, and if not, and then make some noise as well.
Oh yeah, well I guess everybody get ready for the Colts Vikings Super Bowl. I'm sorry to every really good team out there. You just didn't cut it against Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan.
I mean, like I was saying, they're not paying these guys super high top end money, so they got a good team around them. So
yeah, they just have to do some DMT together, and there you go.
There you go.
Reignite that MVP season.
All right. Well, Joe, you got anything else for us before we wrap things up?
One quick little thing.
Okay.
Just to put a ribbon on everything we've talked about here today. I wanted to talk about the Chargers running back room for a second because earlier yesterday, I believe, the Chargers signed running back Sony Michel after he was dropped from Miami. So I thought I had to sit with this signing for a second. I actually had to take time out of my day just to think about what this meant for us. So let's just go over what the room looks like at the Chargers facility. So obviously at the front of the class, you got Austin Eckler. He's up front. He's perky. He's paying attention because he's getting the ball all year, nonstop. He's gonna score 25 touchdowns, and that's gonna be really fun to watch. Sitting right next to him, you got the new rookie, Isaiah Spiller, out of Texas A&M, which there's a ton of exciting things when it comes to him to look forward to this year. And then in the row behind him, you've got Joshua Kelly, the power back that's mostly used on the goal line, but is sometimes a reliever for Eckler. And next to him, next to him now, you got Sony Michel, another power back with almost an identical skill set to Joshua Kelly, just a little bit better. And then way in the back, you have Larry Roundtree. So, Gabe, tell me, how many running backs is that?
Wait, did you mention Justin Jackson, or is he not on the team anymore?
Yeah, he got cut a while back.
Oh, okay.
He got cut, I want to say, early this last offseason.
Okay, for some reason I thought I was listening to a podcast and someone mentioned him. Okay, yeah, so...
I want to say, I think he got moved, but just with that.
Yeah, he did.
Just with that. How many running backs is that?
What, did you mention 5?
That would be 5 running backs. And one of those running backs is an easy top 10. Which, nowadays when it comes to running backs, I've heard this thing where it's pretty much like, if you have the top 10 running backs, you can give them money, and then everyone else is just the same. pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably about right.
We have one top 10 running back. I would even go as far to say top 5, but that's just me. And we have 4 mess. Just meh. 4 of them. So I'm really excited to see in the coming days whether or not they're going to thin that out, or whether our 53-man roster, if 5 of those spots are going to go to running backs, which we already have Eckler on a deal, like a steal deal. Call me Dr. Seuss. On a 4-year, $24 million deal. Like, we're paying Eckler nothing to be the face, one of the faces of the team. And the signing of Sony Michel just felt pointless. It just felt like there was really no reason for us to add him other than to give Joshua Kelly competition, which, pardon my français, but who gives a shit about Joshua Kelly's competition? It just felt so meaningless, but
yeah.
I still, in Brandon Staley we trust, so I'm assuming there was some plan for it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see. I mean, I'm not surprised he got thinned out. I feel like the Dolphins just brought in 4 or 5 running backs.
Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, Sony Michel, just seeing who would stick.
You still got Myles Gaskin there too.
Myles Gaskin. I even forgot about Myles Gaskin.
But I'm not surprised that one of those running backs got let off, and so it'll be interesting to see if he can.
Why do we have him now? That's what doesn't make sense to me. Why did we pick him up? I don't even know. Unless Kelly gets cut, I don't know what role he fills.
I mean, it is just nice having some insurance depth. So there's that.
But 5 players worth of depth.
Are you sure there's 5 on the roster? Is not one of them on the practice squad?
Maybe. I don't know if they made any practice squad moves yet. I want to say they're all on the roster, though. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, you are the big Chargers guy, so...
I could be spouting off. There's a chance, but I don't think so. But maybe. I don't...
It'll just be interesting to see how the season plays out for that running back room.
You could just honestly put a period a little earlier in that sentence. It's just going to be interesting to see how the season plays out.
True.
But, alright. Anything else you want to add before we put a ribbon on this thing?
No, I got to diss on Trey Lance and Russell Wilson, so I think I'm good.
I got to diss on Jalen Hurts and praise Jalen Reagor for half an hour, so I'm good.
All right, Joe, you want to take us out?
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at 2ndandLong podcast. And we also have a TikTok at 2ndandLong. So, once again, I am Joe.
My name is Gabe.
And we will see you guys in the next one.